What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's Dilly Vanilli here with Cowboys. We're here for Thursday, not your typical Thursday night football action, not your typical Thursday in the world of the NFL. It's Thanksgiving Thursday. We didn't have one matchup. We didn't have two matchups. We had three matchups on Thursday. A lot of football for everybody out there. And although Kev did not celebrate Thanksgiving because it's not Thanksgiving in Canada. I know.
What do you mean I didn't celebrate Thanksgiving?
Well, okay, you celebrated it, but it's not
my own way. I celebrate Thanksgiving.
Okay, yes, Kev celebrated it in his own way, just not the land itself of Canada.
Yeah. Canada did not celebrate Thanksgiving today.
But I know everybody.
We'll all be on our way for our Black Friday sales somewhere tomorrow.
Ooh, yes, great sales all across. Did not want to deal with that today, of all days. Well, I hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. It has been a good time, a good day of football, and we're going to end it off here with a couple of recaps of the games that we saw today. The Bears and the Lions is going to start first. Then we'll go to the Redskins-Cowboys game and then end it off with that Saints-Falcons game. So I hope you guys are going to enjoy this video. If you do, smash the like button, comment below, and subscribe to the channel for more football content. Of course, Sunday, we'll be back on our regular stuff. And I'm in a different location. I'm in my living room, but that's beside the point. I'll bring it up. Mitch will not be here. He didn't get a whole lot of sleep. He is very tired. He's a tired boy. And, he takes a whole lot of naps during our live streams of our live reactions. So, you know what it is from him. But he will not be on tonight. It'll be a Mitch Liss. Is it Mitch Liss's word? I'm going to go with that.
Let's call it that.
A Kevel and Dilly stream tonight. So, Ultra has already started off here with a $15 donation. Thank you, Ultra. We do appreciate those. They really do help us out. And Luca's in the chat. What's up, Luca? Oh, Waterboy report. And John's also in the chat as well. So good stuff. Good stuff. Let's go ahead and get into the games. We will get into the chat probably after every game so I could look at what people are thinking about all these games. But first off, we have the Bears and the Lions. Of course, the Lions play every year. It seems like they lose every year. Kevel, they have the most wins in Thanksgiving history with 37, but they also have the most losses at 40. They don't even have a winning record on Thanksgiving. That's depressing. They added to their ways today by losing to the Bears, the other Mitchless team here today, the Mitchell Trubisky-less Chicago Bears. Chase Daniel, who had only thrown one touchdown coming into this game, led the Bears to a 23-16 victory. I was able to watch most of this game. I was getting prepared for my own Thanksgiving and getting prepared for the Cowboys game. But I did see a couple things, but I want to hear from Kevo, who watched the majority of this game himself. What did you think about this game? What did you think about the Bears, the Lions? What's the confidence from the Bears now that they've won 5 in a row? And what's this NFC North looking like to you after this game?
Well, there's an echo there.
Echo.
Is that better?
It's fine to me.
Okay. I'm hearing an echo myself. I don't know why. Anyway.
You got it?
Got it.
Okay.
So I picked the Lions for this game. I was concerned about 3.5 days between games. Been a really tough stretch for the Bears, 3 games in 11 days, and being flexed. And I thought that the Lions would have an opportunity here to take advantage of that. And I think what I forgot about was the coaching here. We'll get into that in a second here. For the Bears, though, I think Chase Daniel had a really solid game, all things considered. Ran out of the tunnel a little early, but whatever. He was all nervous, but he was really efficient today. Threw a nice touchdown pass to Tariq Cohen. And they were able to keep this game really close, and the defense took advantage of a Matthew Stafford pick with an Eddie Jackson touchdown. Mm-hmm. And I just really like what the Bears have done. I think they're playing really solid defense, and their offense is taking advantage of. This offense is not what the Rams or the Kansas City or the Saints offense for sure, but they're going to be taking opportunity opportunities to score, and they don't have to score 30 points a game because their defense is going to allow 20. They can have 25, and I think I don't think enough people are talking about Matt Nagy for Coach of the Year. I think he should get some consideration. This is a 3.5 day. I mean, you won with a backup quarterback. You found out your starting quarterback was injured Tuesday. You have to play Thursday. That tells me, and I think, quite frankly, Nagy will coach Patricia. Of course, a lot of Lions fans don't understand a couple of short yardage plays, why you don't hand it off to LeGarrette Blount instead of throwing it. There's some really strange play calls. Stafford was not great. No, he. I mean, Eddie Jackson read him like a book on the touchdown, and then he overthrew the receiver in the end zone. I think that was kind of on both of them. But the Lions are not a good football team. I don't know. I don't know how long you can stick with Matt Patricia here. I don't think that this guy has done that great of a job. I think he's had a couple of moments, but I don't think he's done. I think there's been more harm than good with Matt Patricia right now.
Do you think it's the coaching, or do you think it's the talent around what this team's bringing?
I think it's probably a combination of both. I mean, yes, it was tough not to have Kerryon Johnson there, but you had LeGarrette Blount, and he had 88 yards.
And 2 touchdowns.
Matthew Stafford is paid as an elite quarterback. Is he an elite quarterback? He hasn't been one this year. This team has got smoked at home. And at times they don't seem like they look like Tony Romo was talking about this today. Their offense is really unimaginative. They don't have a lot of motion. They're easy to read. They're easy to figure out. That to me is a coaching thing. And I feel like Patricia's rubbing his players the wrong way. And I don't know. I don't mean, maybe you give him one more year to see what's going on, but this hasn't been a great start for Matt Patricia. And you look what Matt Nagy has done, and the way that the Bears offense has been innovative in a number of different ways, but keeping with Bears identity, it's interesting when you compare the two.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting look at what we've been excuse me, I just said that. It's been an interesting kind of season for both of these teams and the way that they've been going forward, and you see how the Bears are kind of pushing this new agenda, and it's been pretty successful. I believe coming into the season, they were, I forgot what it was, 0-10 in the last 750 days against their own division, and they've got 3 division wins in the last 11 days. So I'd say that's a pretty good job, Kevin. I don't know about you.
Yeah, that is good. That is good. And they're 8-3.
8-3, yeah, top of the division. Pretty healthy lead, I would say, right now.
Yeah,
their closest one is 5-4-1 with the Vikings, who they already beat last week on Sunday Night Football. So, good stuff. And yeah, I mean, to me, I saw it in this game especially. I think Matthew Stafford, I don't know, man. I'm really questioning some of the things. He's one of my favorite players in the game. Do not get me wrong on this assessment, but he kind of threw the game away. I mean, am I right, Kevin? You think that?
The last pick was on both of them. I understood kind of what they were doing in 2 minutes. You didn't want it. You wanted to tie it and kind of give the Bears a less amount of time. But there's just very weird play calling and a complete overthrow, and then he missed Golladay there. That was kind of on Golladay too. But the last pick was on both. Was on the receiver didn't run the right route, and Stafford overthrew. But the Eddie Jackson pick, that was just to me, that was the killer, because it was just
yeah, I mean, it's a tied ball game.
Yeah.
6 minutes left. You can control the clock. Eddie Jackson reads it like a classy guy, and boom, goes in the end zone. That's his 5th touchdown in 2 seasons, Kev. I mean, it's crazy how good he is. He somehow knows how to get in the end zone, and he is not an offensive player. I mean, put him on offense. Why not? Chase Daniel, he was okay. For a guy that's kind of thrown into the situation, I think he played pretty decent, considering he didn't have a whole lot of time. 27-37, 230 yards, 2 touchdowns. I think some teams would be pretty happy with that stat line for sure. And the Bears are especially happy that it happened. They had no run game today. Absolutely no run game. 3 carries and 14 yards was the best that they had today, and that was Tariq Cohen. Their leading receiver was Taylor Gabriel. He had 7 catches for 49 yards. Thank you for the fantasy points. Actually, both of Gabriel and Galladay helped me out. Galladay was the leading receiver for the Lions, 5 catches and 90 yards. LeGarrette Blount, what a day. What a day for LeGarrette Blount. 19 carries, 88 yards, and 2 touchdowns. It was a very efficient day from him. Matthew Stafford, 28 for 38. So, almost exactly like Chase Daniel. 236 yards, but 2 picks. 2 very, very costly picks.
Yep.
That hurt that game. And ultimately, I think the Lions are done. D-U-N-E. I think most people thought they were going to be D-U-N-E, but they did get the nice victory last week. So, there was still question. And you and Mitch did pick the Lions in this game. So, there was a little bit of hype around what this team could do. They now fall to, I believe, 4 and 7.
4 and 7.
Their next game, good luck, is the Rams. Good luck on that. Then they'll play the Cardinals, the Bills, the Vikings, and the Packers left in the season. They could get 2 victories maybe out of that, but their season's pretty much done for. The Bears' schedule, with 5 remaining, is the Giants, Rams, Packers, 49ers, and Vikings. I can see them getting the wins against the Giants for sure, and the 49ers for sure. The other 3 games are going to be very interesting to see if they can pick up at least 1 or 2 of those games, because the Rams is not going to be easy, but that's a primetime game. You never know. Packers, another divisional rival that they did beat, but they got to continue that pace. And the Vikings to end the season could mean a lot of playoff implications. So, are you liking what the Bears are bringing? Do you think they have some legitimate threats going in to the playoff season?
I'll tell you, I wouldn't want to be going to Chicago in a playoff game. Yeah. Not with that defense, the way that defense plays, and not the way that's. And Khalil Mack or not, that secondary is tough to play against as well. I'm really going to be looking forward to that Rams-Bears game.
Yes.
Sure. I'm going to say something this going to sound a little hot takey, but would not be surprised if the Bears beat the Rams. The Rams have a pretty cake schedule here, but if the Bears can pull out. If the Bears can run the table and the Rams trip up a little bit.
If they run the table with that schedule.
Yeah. The Rams have a pretty you mentioned the Lions, but they also got the Eagles, Cardinals, 49ers, which is probably 3 wins. But if I don't know if if the Vikings lose this week against the Packers, I think they're done. So if the Rams can run the table, who knows? Or the Bears can run the table, who knows? And they can beat the Rams. But it's a team I don't want to be facing, and I wouldn't want to be facing in the playoffs. And if I'm the Rams, I would like to avoid them if I can and get that number 1 seed. Mm-hmm. But who knows there?
The NFC is hot. You got a whole bunch of teams right up there at the top, and the Bears putting themselves at 83 spot. You're setting yourself up for a good opportunity. If they run the table, I'm not going to say they are, because they still got to play that Rams game, and you'll see with the other divisional opponents. But get 3 wins, finish your season 11-5. That's what I'm hoping that they would go for at this point. Like what the team brings, their defense, not wanting to face them. I would not want to face that defense. A matchup like the Saints, where you got to play the number 1 offense versus the number 1 defense. And typically defenses win those matchups. That would be very interesting to see. So, Not saying that they would beat the Saints, and we're going to see that obviously another great offense against that defense in a couple weeks with the Rams. So stay tuned for that. But that'll be interesting. Bears take this one 23-16 overall. A pretty good, enjoyable game that was kind of thrown away at the end. Let's go to comments here before we go into our next game. Everybody here in the Thanksgiving, guys. Rob, Ultra, Predator. Of course, we talked about John and Luca in there. Mr. Wong's in there, of course. Let's see here. Mr. Wong, he dropped Amari Cooper just a day before. Before knowing of the big trade that was going to happen. Well, that's very unfortunate, especially today's matters. We'll talk about that in just a minute. Luca was 3-0 in picks today. I was the only one on this channel to go 3-0 today as well, so I'm in that boat with you, Luca. Mr. Wong says, why on earth did I ignore all and start Adrian Peterson today? Well, I don't know because he did have a good game against the Cowboys last time. He had 99 rushing yards. I believe he got a touchdown in that game too. It just looked like the Cowboys were focused on stopping that run game and forcing the new quarterback, Colt McCoy, to make the throws. I think that's the biggest result. Quarterback rankings in Thanksgiving, Ultra. 1 Breeze, 2 Prescott, 3 Ryan, 4 Daniel, 5 McCoy, 6 Stafford. I think he means in terms of game performances. You think Stafford played the worst out of any quarterback today?
I think. Well, I'm gonna have to say it was McCoy. I mean, I would probably say McCoy was a bit worse.
A bit worse. I think in terms of the overall game, he played a bit worse. The choking matter will obviously hurts at the level, but
the clutchness of what Stafford did was because of what happened. But at the same time, McCoy threw 3 picks today, and one was a dud of a. He did make a beautiful throw to Vernon Davis.
Yeah, that was one of the better plays of the game for sure.
Yeah.
The one where you're talking about, it was all wobbly and stuff. It was hard to watch. Hot Take Hockey says Dilly's going to get that division dub if Mr. First Rounder keeps clutching up with Dak. Yes, you're right on. I mean, they played pretty well. We'll talk about that in a second, of course. Double Mitchless today, of course. Yes. Ultra's got his power rankings again. Saints, Rams, Steelers ahead of the Chiefs. Steelers 3, Chiefs 4. Patriots 5, 6 Bears, 7 Chargers, 8 Texans, 9 Colts, 10 Panthers. With the Seahawks at 11 and 12, the Vikings. Right now, I would say that the Chiefs are still ahead of the Steelers until I get further notice. The Chiefs did beat the Steelers earlier on this year, so, you know. I don't know where you fall on that boat, Kev.
If you score 51 points, I'm going to put you at 3. I know that they allowed 54, but I still have them at 3.
Contender or pretender, the Chicago Bears. I say you got to put them as a contender right now, for sure.
If they were in the AFC, I think they would probably be a favorite for the Super Bowl, or they would be in the top 2. It's just realistically here, we could be. We talked about how the Bears could run the table and get the 2nd seed. We could have 2 15-1 teams in
Which
the NFC.
Which would be insane. In the exact same conference.
we really could.
Which that's crazy. 5 more games to decide if that's going to happen. Turtle says the Falcons and the Lions are DUNE. Agreed. Are the Chargers contenders? Right now, I'm going to say no, but you never know. They could have a favorable AFC matchup and get to the championship game. I feel like that could be a case where they find a favorable matchup, maybe against the Steelers or somebody, and that would really benefit from them. What do you think, Kev?
I think that they would actually benefit. I've always thought this. I think that they're going to benefit being on the road instead of home. I think they'll be tough on teams offensively, defensively. Derwin James, I think, is one of the better safeties in the league. They've won 7 in a row. They're well coached. I think that they're going to be a tough out for sure. But it's gonna really depend on matchups and how Kansas City, New England, and Pittsburgh end up seeing is going to be interesting. So, and Houston's in there as well. But it's going to be a lot about seeding to me, and where the Chargers seed I think is going to be interesting.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're probably going to get that 5th seed. I'm still Probably banking on that because the Chiefs are still probably going to win their division. If the Chargers had won that game against the Broncos, could be a different story, but it is what it is. But I think it's going to be an interesting matchup, and the rest of where the rest of the landscape goes will be interesting as well. Do you guys think the Patriots make another Super Bowl appearance? Ryan Hodale, I don't remember Mr. Ryan. I think the thing is that there's one big task for me with the Patriots. Like I like what the Patriots can bring, but one week I'm like the Titans game. I'm like, what happened? I don't understand. I think that Vikings matchup is actually going to be pretty crucial. I want to see what they do against the Vikings, and they have a couple more tests ahead, especially that Week 15 matchup against the Steelers. But in terms of the postseason, they'll make the playoffs. They'll always prove themselves that they are the Patriots, and they'll probably only have to play. They'll either have to play 3 or 4 games. It depends on if they can get that 2 seed. But it's a race to get to that 2 seed, and with that third loss, kind of hurts. So I think they'll get past the wild card round, and it's all about getting in the clutch, the divisional, and then the AFC Championship game if they make there. What do you think, Kev?
Well, this is something where Mitch is going to be angry at me, okay. But I'm going to, it's only my opinion. I feel like the Patriots are very vulnerable this year. Yeah. I think they could be a first. They could be a first round out, even if they are playing at home.
Wow.
I think that they have. There's talent there. There's no question. But I think that teams are starting to kind of figure them out, and I don't know if they're. I mean, the records are going to show something completely different here. But I don't know if teams are going to be necessarily afraid of playing the Patriots. I don't know if the Chargers are going to be afraid of going to New England. I don't know if Pittsburgh is going to be afraid.
Pittsburgh isn't going to be afraid. They'll be excited for that moment.
15-1-1. We talked about that. This Patriots team doesn't have that same. I know that they're going to go on a run and everybody's, but they remind me a little bit of last year's Pittsburgh Steelers. They looked. There's in the surface, they're looking like everything is fine, but there's something in there that is not sitting right with me. That's what I'm seeing with the Patriots right now. A team that I think can get tripped up.
Again, a lot of these matchups in the AFC, I think teams are going to be excited to play the Patriots. They'd be very happy to get that matchup and, be that team like, all right, we got the Patriots. Like, we're going to get this done. I think there's some teams that could do it this year. So, yeah, never know. But it's always the Patriots. They always have a chance. They're always in the AFC. So, it's going to help.
Yeah. And they got the championship pedigree for sure. But
yeah, that's true. All right, so we're here at the second game of the night. The Washington Redskins and the Dallas Cowboys, of course, the other team that plays every single Thanksgiving. And the Cowboys took this one 31-23. I'll go through some of the stats before we get into our analysis of this game. For the Redskins, Colt McCoy was 24-38, 268 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 3 picks. This was his first start since his game against Dallas 4 years ago in December, so almost about 4 years ago, when he did beat them on Monday Night Football, but this was his first start since then. Adrian Peterson, 12 carries, 35 yards. Very ineffective on the run game today. Jordan Reed, the leading receiver, I should say. 6 catches, 75 yards. Vernon Davis had 2 catches for 73 yards, and that beautiful touchdown Kevin was talking about earlier. Josh Doctson was basically their leading contributor also as well. Josh, 6 catches, 66 yards. And Quinn, 5 catches, 26 yards, and a touchdown. This white boy that we saw here on the team today actually got something. Let's go over to the Cowboys side of things. Dak Prescott, 22 of 31, 289 yards. That's his season high. And 2 passing touchdowns, along with a rushing touchdown, I believe, in the third quarter. Yeah. Ezekiel Elliott, 26 carries for 121 yards. His 16th 100-yard rushing game since he debuted in 2016. He also rushed for a touchdown. Amari Cooper, the big receiver. And big, I mean basically all the yardage that Dak had. 8 catches, 180 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Blake Jarwin was their next leading receiver in yards. And Kevel, how many yards did this man have? Do you want to take a guess?
Blake Jarwin had, I'm looking at this right now, sorry. Blake Jarwin had a grand total of 25 yards.
25 yards, and he was the second receiver in terms of yards for the Cowboys today. That's interesting. Noah Brown had 1 catch for 22 yards. Zeke Elliott, 5 catches for 22 yards. Kev, I'll let you take the floor first, and then I'll give my thoughts as a Cowboys fan. What did you think about this game?
Well, first half, I thought both offenses were really shooting themselves in the foot. They, especially the Cowboys, they get into the red zone at the 10, and that Prescott back foots it. Brown doesn't catch it, and then they get the sack, and then they have to settle for the field goal. The Redskins get the ball back. I'm talking about the last 2 minutes. They go 3 and out and have the ball for, I think, I'm exaggerating, 1 second. Pretty much ineffective. Redskins, Washington gets a touchdown to take the lead, and then Amari Cooper took over. And he had a big, no question, Cooper had a huge game today, a big 90-yard play and a big 40-yard play. And give Dak credit, that touchdown he scored, he bounced, broke 4 tackles. That was a really great play. Their offense was effective today, but I think it was their defense that I was more impressed. Like, I have to say that I think this defense is where it's impressive. I know that you don't like Jeff Heath, Dylan, but he had a good game today.
No.
Colt McCoy had 3 interceptions. One, DeMarcus Lawrence jumped up, a couple of other ones. Yes, there was a very terrible non-call, but ultimately the Cowboys defense stepped up when needed here and shut down Adrian Peterson. And it's going to be tough for Washington. I mean, it was tough on Washington. I mean, Colt McCoy hasn't even practiced with the ones yet. So what's the next month here is going to be tough for them. They're injured beyond injured, and they're battling. But I think that this, the linebacking crew and the secondary, I think the Cowboys defense is what's going to get them into the playoffs. I know that everyone is all excited about Amari Cooper. He had a big game, no question about that. But at the same time, if you're a Washington fan, that defensive coverage on that was atrociously terrible too. But the Washington's 2 wounded. Dallas has a really good chance to win this division, but I'm still skeptical about this offense, Dylan, because you talked about it. You talked about it already. So we've got Amari Cooper, 8 catches, 180 yards, 2 touchdowns, of Dak Prescott's 289. Blake Jarwin, 2 catches for 25 yards. Noah Brown, 1 for 22. Michael Gallup, 2 for 19, and targeted 6 times. I'm sorry, I'm not a fan of Michael Gallup. If a team is preparing to take away Cooper and Elliott here, the secondary part of this offense is what really concerns me going forward for the Cowboys. So I would love to hear what your thoughts are on there. I'm not saying they're doomed or done, but I think that the weakest point of this is, I still think the weakness of the Cowboys is that receiving core, even though you have Amari Cooper. Because if you shut down Amari Cooper, what do you got?
Well, here's the thing. And what Amari Cooper was in coming into this game was supposed to be, okay, if Amari Cooper is going to be looked at as like, this is the attention getter, somebody else is going to be open. Somebody else is going to be that guy to make a play because they're all focused on one guy. Boom, here's a catch. Didn't see a whole lot of that today. And that kind of, like you said, it kind of does worry me a little bit in that sense. I thought Cole Beasley was going to have a decent game. He didn't do jack shit. Blake Jarwin had 2 catches. Zeke was, he didn't have that many yards in terms of the receiving game, which they've been wanting to focus on more this season. I think what Dallas was really trying to do, and this is one thing I've been very happy about, they were eating clock up today. They were really taking long possessions down the field and realizing the situations that they had in front of them and knowing that this team does have a struggle at times to score when they probably should. But if you have longer drives, then the other team is going to be like, oh, our defense is getting tired. 6-7 minute drives, and when you do score, it feels all the more satisfying. But a lot of those, the reason I'm not so concerned is that a lot of the receiving yards that I did see were on big third down conversions. And again, you need those third down conversions because the Cowboys the last couple of weeks have been a lot better on third down than they were over the first 7 games before Amari Cooper got there. And I'm just glad that a guy like Amari Cooper is in this system helping out the team. Today, he basically rode the wave and how big he was, how important he was compared to the last couple of games where he was a threat and he did a good job, but he more or less opened the lane for other guys to get that opportunity. Today, he took his opportunity and ran with it, as you can see by the 180 yards that he had. Dak, okay, the first half, and I said this right at halftime, Dak has to throw the freaking football away. It annoys me how long he decides to hold on to the ball. For every great play where he gets that throw on 3rd and 4 when he's about to be sacked and gets the completion, or that great touchdown run that you were talking about, amazing touchdown run, he has a 10-yard sack that takes us out of field goal range. And that's not something that can happen more than once. And he does it all the time because he'll run to the opposite direction to try to get out of it, and then the Blaze basically busted up and you got nothing else to do. He's got to throw the ball away. It doesn't really matter. But if you're on 3rd down, you're at the guy's 35-yard line, the opponent's 35-yard line. You take a 12-yard sack, it's basically done for. So I'm not a fan of that. And then the first half, the offense was really frustrating me because we would get drives or certain opportunities. The Anthony Brown interception, the first one, was not capitalized on. The opportunities to get right at the 30-yard line and then getting that big sack, no bueno. But the second half was all about momentum. And once that wave came in, that 5-minute period where big touchdown to Amari Cooper, then getting the DeMarcus Lawrence interception, the 90-yard touchdown again, Amari Cooper. Just having those things really helped separate the game. Like you said, the defense took over. The thing is I've liked what the defense has shown. It's that the offense has to back it up, which has not been the mantra of the Cowboys for years. It's always about look at how great this offense is. You got the great offensive line. You got the great running back. You got the great quarterback. You got the number 1 receiver. But then the defense would always just be awful every single year. This year, it's a little bit different. You have so much raw and young talent coming into this week. Byron Jones was rated the number 1 cornerback by Pro Football Focus. DeMarcus Lawrence, one of the top defensive linemen in the game, edge rusher that's going to make those big plays. And he put up his paws and got a great interception today, so that was an extra bonus. The linebackers, I can't say enough about Jalen Smith and Leighton Vander Esch and what they have contributed this year. Jalen Smith, with his speed, is going to come in and make great plays, and Leighton Vander Esch, I mean, such a great linebacker and so young, right? This is his first season, and they really work off each other. It's great. Not a big fan of Heath. Again, like I said, you make one great play, and then he'll take 3 steps back with a terrible play right after. That being said, I still like the secondary. We made plays. Xavier Woods got that last interception that helped us quite a bit as well. So coming out of this, 6-5, first in the division, tied for first in the division. Very happy about that, personally. Again, this was another hard week for me to watch up until we started getting that scoring streak going because I'm like, can we get this done? Can we finish it? We're playing against the divisional rival. This is our biggest game this season, once again. But we were able to get it done. And I think we needed this victory because next week, I'm not 100% sure. We're playing the Saints. It's a very difficult game. That's a game where I'm expecting not the best outcome. But we got to get this victory to take the driver's seat, if you will, on the division. And I'm happy with where we're at right now. Considering where I was 3 weeks ago here, or 2.5 weeks ago on Monday Night Football, ranting about the Cowboys, I've been very happy with the changes. And again, that's the biggest thing. You got to change in order to win football games. 3 wins in the last 11 days. I'll take it.
The one problem the one question I think is it's interesting what the schedule is because Cowboys have Saints, Eagles, Colts in Indy, Buccaneers, Giants. So realistically, 3-2, 4-1, 4 is not a question. For Washington, you got Philadelphia twice. You've got Jacksonville, Tennessee, and then the Giants. It's not unreasonable. And I guess we do need to talk a little bit about Colt McCoy here.
I think he made plays with his legs. Like, he made really solid runs, but then other times you're like, there's a reason why he's been a backup for 4 years.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
he made it. Yeah, the DeMarcus 3 picks, understandable in some ways. I guess it'll be interesting to see what it was against Philadelphia. If you go with Jay Gruden's argument that it was about him not playing with the ones a bit, Gruden wasn't necessarily all that happy. Maybe we see Mark Sanchez as this goes forward. Who knows? If that's the case, I think they are DUNE. But at the same time, I look at the schedule for Washington, and I could see them. I still thought there's enough in there that the teams that they're playing against here, they can win all 5. They will be close games at least.
They have, the thing is they have good chances to win those games. They're teams that will give them a fight. Like Jacksonville is a game that they can win based on what they're doing this year. Tennessee is a game they win because you never know what Tennessee's going to bring. The divisional rivals, you said they play the Eagles twice. Am I correct?
Yes, they play next Monday against Philadelphia in Philadelphia, and then at home Washington to end the season.
Those are both very interesting games. I mean, I'd be very interested to see those ones. And then the Giants, they're not running the table, but it'll be an interesting game. So, I'm looking forward to this last little stretch here. I think both teams have a competitive battle for the NFC East. Whether you think it's a very good battle is up to your opinion, but it is still a division rival that I'm looking forward to.
Did you see what DJ Swearinger said today?
I did not. What did DJ Swearinger say?
I got to find it, but basically he called his team out after the game today.
Oh.
I will maybe keep talking here. I'll pull it up, but I found it rather interesting. He basically said there was a reason why they're not getting any respect, and it was something. He called his team out today. He was basically called his team pretty much shit, and
that's shocking to me.
Yeah.
Wow, DJ Swearinger. I like DJ Swearinger. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say they played like shit, but they could have won this game. They had the opportunities to win this game, and it just didn't come through. They did have a lead at this point. At one point, in this game.
They did. Yeah, and this game was not. I mean, Colt McCoy threw 3 interceptions, but the defense, especially on both Cooper plays.
The first one, the guy fell down. What's his name? Fabian. I can't remember his last name, but he fell down on the first one. And then the second one, it was like triple coverage. It was like 3 guys on him, and they weren't able to make the tackle. So
it's just bad tackling. Yeah.
So interesting. We'll have to take that into account as we see the season go forward.
Yeah.
All right. So that's the second game. Cowboys take it 31-23. I'll get to comments, guys, after this last game, and then we'll wrap it up here. Last game of the night, we had the Falcons and the Saints. The Falcons 4-6, desperately needing a victory to stay alive in the playoffs, versus the red-hot 9-1 Saints coming into tonight, winning 9 in a row. The Saints decided they were going to keep that streak alive and won this game 31-17. The Falcons fall to 4-7 and are pretty much DUNE in the conversation for playoffs. And overall, we got some interesting performances. Matt Ryan, 35 of 47, 377 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, and 2 fumbles. 1 recovered, 1 recovered by the Saints. Rushing, Kev, was there any rushing for the Falcons tonight?
Did they hand the ball off at all? I think I saw Kevin Coleman a couple of times, but that was...
Matt Ryan was their leading rusher, Kev.
Two rushes for 16 yards.
Mm-hmm. Solid stuff. I mean, you got to give that man credit. But Tevin Coleman had 8 carries for 6 yards. That is atrocious. Atrocious. And I get it. People will say, I mean, they were down most of this game, so they had to throw the ball. I get it. But when you abandon that run game, you're done. You're pretty much dead in the water. Not a lot of teams are going to be effective that way because they know defenses know exactly what you're going to do. So it was sad. It was a sad running performance. Ito Smith had 4 carries for 0 yards, Kev.
Yes.
0. Not a 0.1 on fantasy and rushing. 0. Julio Jones, 11 catches, 147 yards. I think Matt Ryan realized what Julio Jones can do. Calvin Ridley, 8 catches, 93 yards, a touchdown, and a fumble. Mohamed Sanu, 4 catches, 74 yards. 3 of those came in the first half. Austin Hooper, 5 catches, 31 yards. And Tevin Coleman did have 1 play. He got a touchdown with one of his 3 receptions. For the Saints, Drew Brees, 15 of 22. He did not throw this ball a lot. He only had 15 completions. He only had 171 passing yards. But he had 4 touchdowns tonight. 4. And 1 interception. Alvin Kamara, 14 carries, 89 yards. Mark Ingram, 11 carries, 52 yards. Kev, this is what I want to bring up here. Have you heard of any of the 4 gentlemen that caught touchdown passes tonight for the Saints before tonight?
No. I just thought that these were guys that Sean just called up and it said, hey, Dan Arnold? Is Dan Arnold there, please? Hi, Dan.
Dan Arnold.
Happy Thanksgiving to you. My name is Sean Payton. I was wondering if you wanted to wear a uniform of the New Orleans Saints today. Oh, great. Come on to the game and we'll toss you a touchdown. Hello, Tommy Lee Lewis. Hey, you won. You won. You also get to wear a New Orleans Saints jersey and get a touchdown today.
Yay.
How about you, Keith Kirkwood? You come on down because you're going to get a touchdown today. And you too, Austin Carr. Actually, Austin Carr has been around before, but the other 3 are new.
Well, and these guys combined, all 4 of them had 2 career NFL touchdowns before today. They doubled that today in this game. Michael Thomas fans in fantasy are pissed. Every owner of Michael Thomas absolutely mad at this scenario. Like you said, Tommy Lee Lewis, Austin Carr, who is probably the most well-known of these guys. He's the other tight end. Or, sorry, he's the 3rd receiver, I should say. Dan Arnold. Hey, Arnold. He's calling you. And Keith Kirkwood. Interesting. Very interesting stuff here for the Saints. Again, the receiver group, you thought about it. It's like, okay, Michael Thomas is at number 1. Traquan Smith didn't even have a touchdown. He looked like he was the number 2 guy. He's very young as well. But that number 3 spot, they wanted to sign Brandon Marshall into that Saints role. I believe they signed him. I don't think they did anything. But
they did sign him. He's still wearing a jersey, or he's wearing street clothes.
He's still wearing street clothes. Okay. So that 3rd receiver spot was kind of open. A lot of people were thinking, well, what are they going to do with this scenario? A lot of these guys only had 1 catch. Tommy Lee Lewis had 1 catch. Austin Carr had 1 catch. Kirkwood had 1 catch. The only guy with multiple catches out of the touchdown group was Dan Arnold, who had 4 catches for 45 yards. Also their leading receiver today. So solid stuff. Michael Thomas, 4 catches, 38 yards. I think this was his worst performance this season, but he did have a great catch in triple coverage. That was the best thing he did tonight. The biggest thing for me in this game, Kev, was the Falcons' inability to score in the red zone. They were able to really push it down the Saints' throats, and at times you're like, this could be a game where it could be decided by, a touchdown or a clutch field goal or something like that. But a big missed opportunity equaled 0 or 3 points. We had that fumble in the first quarter by Matt Ryan, which was crucial. You start off the game, by the way, they gave the ball to the Saints to start off the game? What?
Yeah, Rodney Harrison questioned that today. That was no? Well, yeah.
No, don't do that. Didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. You're giving the number 1 offense in the league basically a lead before you even go on the field. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But they fumble right there, so it gives the Saints a great opportunity. They get their defense a little bit more inspired in this game. They also had opportunities to create it when they had to kick that field goal. They were trying to get back into it, but Calvin Ridley fumbled at the 1, which did hurt me in fantasy a little bit, but he did have the best game for my receivers today. It was interesting because in terms of yards, if you look at the yards that Matt Ryan had versus the yards that Drew Brees had, he threw for over 200 yards more than Drew Brees today. He had a receiver go for 147 yards, one of the best receivers in the game. He had a Calvin Ridley touchdown, a Coleman touchdown, and yet only 17 points. It comes down to the defense for the Saints was bend, don't break kind of stuff here today. And they were able to create the turnovers. Marshawn Lattimore with the great play at the fumble. Just the opportunities that the defense was giving the Saints, which is another great way to win a football game. It doesn't have to be on the 40-point outburst from the Saints. They'd scored 45 or more points in each of their last 3 games coming into this one, Kevo. But today, the Saints defense was able to stop the Falcons when necessary and get the win. And Drew Brees was effective. He didn't have a whole lot of yards, but when he needed to throw the big touchdowns, he got the big touchdowns. 4 of them today for 177 yards. Not a whole lot of yards, 171 yards. Not a whole lot of yards, but efficiency is key. He was able to get that done today. What did you think about this one?
The last 3 games, I know that we're all talking about the New Orleans Saints offense, but the last 3 games, this New Orleans Saints defense has created 8 turnovers. They created 2 against the Bengals. They had 3 against the Eagles, and they had 3 tonight. What I'm liking about what I'm seeing here is this Saints team is willing to play any way that you need to. But that running game, Kamara and Ingram averaged Kamara 6.7 a carry, Ingram 4, a little bit over 4.5 a carry. They have different ways to bring in a different number of different looks. Saints create turnovers. They play complementary football. I like what you said there. It's bend but don't break. And it doesn't matter where you stop them at the 20 or the 40. A stop is a stop, and that's what they've been able to do all year. I feel that they're the number 1 team. I think they're the most consistent. And Drew Brees Drew Brees did this against the Minnesota Vikings. He threw for about the same amount, and they were able to win because the Saints defense was able to create turnovers. Mm-hmm. So I think really credit to Dennis Allen and what he's doing with that defense. The Falcons, I think this is it's very interesting. I mean, yeah, there is a lot of weapons on that offense. I mean, Julio. Calvin Ridley is 7 touchdowns coming into today. He got another one. But in key situations, I can't trust this Falcons offense. Red zone, they create the turnover. They got a rare interception, and they come in and the Saints were not disguising it. They were coming at Matt Ryan. And you saw the lips. He was like, "What's going on?" He didn't. I mean, as a veteran quarterback, he needed to see that. He didn't. 3. It's not only 3 fumbles, Dylan. It was 3 red zone fumbles today. Yeah, true. And you talked about Ito Smith not even giving you much for fantasy, not even helping out and Ricky Schrader on the right side was getting butchered today.
Ruined by Cam Jordan today.
Yeah, Cam Jordan ruined that man's Thanksgiving today. I just don't. I think the Falcons are wonderful styled. I mean, they look really good, and Julio gets all these catches. And I'm not saying Julio is a bad receiver. It's just it's weird though.
Is it all flash and no substance? Is that what I'm getting?
I think it is a lot of all flash and no substance. I think these stats look wonderful, but this team, in terms of they got the leading interceptor in the league in Kesey, but this defense didn't. And the defense kind of hung in there, but did they make a really big stop? Not really.
But I also think their defense gave them an opportunity. 31 points with a guy like Matt Ryan's talent and a guy like Julio Jones. There's an opportunity to get this win. there's key chances to get this victory. And I know that touchdown kind of late in the game for the Falcons helped the score be 31-10 to 31-17. So we can't really think of it in that terms. But that big fumble by Julio Jones, where he's running for extra yards and gets hit by double-sided and boom, it's a big fumble, pretty much puts the game on the rocks. That's crucial. I mean, you got to, as an offense, you got to be, what's the word here? You got to be very sad by the. I'm just going to go with sad. That's not the word I wanted to go for. But you got to be pretty upset by the fact that you were going down, driving the field, like you said. Nice stats. They look all good and stuff, but when it came down to it, it wasn't able to get done. You know, like when the Bucs had 501 yards a couple of weeks ago, but then we had 3 points. They had turnovers in the red zone, and that was another thing that has it in the same terms as this game. You get all the yards, but you got to score in the red zone. You know, even if it's 3 points, you're still putting yourself in a position to win the game. When you come out with 0 and you turn the ball over, that's pretty hard. That's very difficult to win football.
Yeah. Now, and I don't know. We haven't really talked about Julio in the red zone, but why is he not being targeted?
Well, he had 2 of his 8 targets this season tonight in the red zone. I think what Steve Sarkisian believes in his head when he calls his plays is that, well, people are expecting Julio Jones is going to be the red zone threat. So we'll go to somebody else. I maybe that's the idea, but it makes no sense. You got a number 1 guy. You have what arguably is the most talented receiver in the game on your team, and you don't give him the opportunities. Kind of baffles me. Is
it something Julio's doing though?
Explain.
Well, I'm not claiming any expertise here, but it just like it just would be it's. I mean, yeah, maybe defenses are keying on, but this guy is in your top 3 or to 5 of your wide receivers in this game. He should be getting open.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not necessarily sure if this is purely game plan or something that, like, you know, it's something that he needs to adjust himself, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, I'm also thinking maybe it's the routes that he's having to run while he's in the red zone. I don't think they're very favorable routes to get red zone targets. I think what happens is that, you know, he's running a comebacker or something like that, and Matt Ryan's focusing his attention to the other side of the field. Yeah. I feel like Steve Sarkisian is giving the other side of the other side more attention, which for an offensive coordinator who has the top receiver is baffling to me.
Yeah.
I get it. You have great talent. Calvin Ridley is going to be a star. He's a great receiver, and Mohamed Sanu is a very versatile guy, but. He has 8 targets, and the rest of this team has like 40 this season.
Yeah, it is weird. It's weird, but it's interesting to me. I don't know. I don't know if it's purely on Sarkisian or something Julio needs to adjust to. But even the Falcons on their Super Bowl run, they were scoring points and they were at a record pace, but they weren't always great in the red zone. They were finding ways to leave points on the table here. So I don't know. This wasn't Matt Ryan's best game. I mean, in terms of, you know, fumbles and bad decisions, and yeah, his stats look good, but it wasn't great. The Falcons have a lot of work to do, especially on that defense. And I understand that there's injuries. Mm-hmm. And they're fighting. It's going to be an interesting offseason in Atlanta.
Yeah, a lot of questions. But it's pretty much like you said. It's VUNE for this team. They're going to have to focus on the last 5 games and what they're going to do elsewhere. But that offseason, I will be very interested to see what they do. If they do add anything or get rid of some dead weight, or obviously just get healthy. That's the biggest thing. Get healthy, and look forward to next year because. It ain't the year.
Yeah. Can we talk a little bit about Drew Brees?
Okay.
Can we talk about Skip Bayless for a second? Because I know that Mitch has a video coming out about Patrick Mahomes. is he or is he not the MVP? I'd like to read a tweet from 4 hours ago from Skip Bayless.
Okay.
Drew Brees just threw yet another TD pass to yet another former undrafted free agent, Tommy Lee Lewis. He doesn't have a Tyreek or a Kelsey or even a Sammy Watkins. Michael Thomas ran a 4.640, which is why Brees is running away with the MVP. I think that this is a ridiculous argument to make for Drew Brees to be the MVP. Just because he has an undrafted free agent does not mean that Drew Brees is the MVP. Now, I'm not saying that Drew Brees shouldn't be in consideration. I think that the way that he's adapted his game is, you can make an argument for that. But stop. He's got Alvin Kamara. He's got marking. It's not like this team doesn't.
He's a Heisman winner.
Yes, that's not like this team doesn't have talent around him. This is like, I'm sorry. In my opinion, Drew Brees, and I love Drew Brees. Mm-hmm. I would say he's still 3rd to 5th on my list for MVP. I still think you got to go with Patrick Mahomes with the numbers. You can go Gurley, Donald, and I'm sorry. I'm going to say it. I still have James White from the New England Patriots in my top 5 for MVP, and I know that some people are going to think that that's ridiculous, but that's fine. I think you look what James White has done for the New England Patriots. I think he's been more valuable than Tom Brady this year. I think even you could make an argument for Ben a little bit over Brees, but to say because Brees doesn't have any talent around him on a team that's what basically Skip Bayless is saying here. Yeah. That's how I read that. For a team that has one loss is complete nonsense. And I love Drew Brees, but he is not, in my opinion, running away with the MVP.
I love Drew Brees. He's one of my favorite quarterbacks of all time. He's my number 3, actually, behind Manning and Brady. But I've always hated Skip Bayless. I think he just tries to create the public headline and make something. He speaks out there and tries to get people to hate him with his words. And this is another big example. Colin Cowherd just tries to make a hot topic. He just tries to get you riled up and create a headline. With his Patrick Mahomes is number 4 on the MVP list, which is also ridiculous. But yeah, that's how I feel about Skip Bayless. Brees is the number 2 guy for me. Right now, my top 3 is Mahomes, Brees, Donald, followed up by Gurley at 4. That's how I feel it is right now. Whether the word MVP actually means most valuable player, that's not what it means in the NFL, because it means who the best player is. If it went what it actually meant, other guys would win the award. I'm just saying. And the reason I have Donald at 3 and not higher is because the NFL will never give a MVP to a defensive player. I have to actually wait and see until that happens, because J.J. Watt should have done that in 2013 against Aaron Rodgers. I believe it was 2013. So yeah, Skip Bayless, absolutely ridiculous. Thank you for bringing that up, though. I appreciate that, Kev. Definitely adds more fuel to the fire. Okay, so I'm going to scroll up to the. Actually, here, where did I go? I need to find where the comments were that I. Okay, I'll scroll to the top. All right, so we start off with Rob. Should the Redskins? We're going to go with comments and then we're going to leave here, guys. Should the Redskins acquire Derek Carr? Says Rob. I don't know how that would happen. And it's an interesting thing because Alex Smith is going to have to recover from this injury. It's not going to be an easy process, and they need somebody now. Do the Redskins draft a quarterback, or do they try to go get? Do you think Derek Carr is an option, Kev?
In my opinion, I would draft a quarterback. I'm not sure what Derek Carr is. I'm not sure Derek Carr is better than Alex Smith. I'm not. I think. I mean, if to me, Alex Smith doesn't make mistakes. It's not spectacular. It's not beautiful what Alex Smith does. He's not Patrick Mahomes. No question about it. He's not Drew Brees. He's not any of those guys, but he doesn't make mistakes. I feel like Derek Carr does. I feel like Derek Carr is I trust Alex Smith more than Derek Carr, and I think it would be better to draft and develop a quarterback to follow Alex Smith than try to waste a draft pick on a guy that I'm not convinced. I'm not there yet with him.
Do you think the Redskins really kind of wasted that opportunity with Kirk Cousins now that they have to find a quarterback situation at this point? Do you think they ran that whole situation the wrong way?
No, I don't know. I'm not sure if Washington would have been any different right now with Kirk Cousins and Alex Smith, only because, I mean, Kirk would have been healthier. I guess that would be fine. The big thing I was glad that Joe Buck brought this up. We have forgotten that Darius Geis was injured at the first game of the preseason, and this offense would be much different with him. I know that the kid is a rookie, but we know that what this guy would have been.
But also, AP's been very good this year in the run game too.
Good.
So
yeah.
Even after today's performance. So
yeah. I don't know if they would have been much different with Kirk Cousins.
The only reason I bring up Kirk Cousins, Kev, is the fact that when they traded for a guy like Alex Smith, he's already kind of in that stage where he's not going to get a whole lot better. He doesn't create a whole lot of turnovers, but the youth is not there. So you traded a guy that's, I don't know how old Kirk is, but he's still in the middle of his career, I would say, right around the middle portion of his career. And you got it for a guy that's 36, 37, somewhere around there. He's not going to get a whole lot younger. Kind of just a questionable call for me right now. I'm not saying, his stats were good this year and they helped him win games, but the long-term future for the Redskins, I don't know. I have a whole lot of questions about it.
Well, Kirk's 30.
Kirk's 30.
I hear what you're saying. But I think what Alex Smith brought some sort of stability and calmness to the offense. It's not spectacular. Can this guy do it next year? I don't know. But if you're asking me to compare Derek Carr to a drafted quarterback, and I know that this year isn't great for drafted quarterbacks, I think that Derek Carr comes with a lot of risk and a lot of baggage. And people don't, and remember, his teammates have not been kind to this guy as well. So it's not just because of John Gruden, and it's not because of injuries. There's something else going on there.
Well, and apparently even Coach Gruden's not very happy with him right now.
Yeah.
So.
And I would think that Gruden would want a pretty high draft pick for Derek Carr, and I don't know if it's that. I don't know if I would do it.
If you're John Gruden, it's a great sell. I mean, you already got 5 first-round picks in the next 2 years.
I think John Gruden is going for all 32. I think that'll be his goal.
He's going to break the record for most first-round picks.
And still blow it. Sorry, I said it.
He will draft the whole team of Alabama, and they will still figure out a way to blow it for him.
Yeah.
That'll be great. Let's see. We're going to scroll down here just a little bit. Ultra says Saints Chiefs Super Bowl would be awesome. I second that in that decision. Anything between the Chiefs and the Rams or Saints would just be a great match.
It'll be fun. Yeah.
Ultra saying the boys are going to go 9-7. Fact or fiction from Rob? Dallas is 1 and done in the playoffs.
Facts.
I will say facts because it's a very difficult NFC. I mean, the thing is they're going to play the 5th seed, which would be a whole lot of facets, probably. A whole lot of different teams.
It could be. It could be. We could be facing each other in the playoffs.
Ooh, that would be great. That would be wild. You have to be on live stream for that.
Yeah.
I will say, actually, you know what? If they're the 4th seed and they play a 5th seed, there's a chance they can win 1 game. Past that, not so certain.
It's going to depend on matchups.
For sure. Dolphins versus Colts is huge, says Dirk Kent. Followed up by Party Parth, who's an actual Colts fan, says Vins are trash. That's funny. But I think Colts will win as well. Let's scroll down here a little bit. Raisin Brand says 10-1, baby. Who dat? Yes, Saints. Who dat? They got it won. And, by the way, they got that 10th victory, so AC, thank you very much for that money. I appreciate it there. Let's see. Oh yeah, we got that big Durkant Mitch Madden matchup tomorrow. I'm very interested to see that. That'll be fun to watch. If you guys don't know, that's gonna be a Madden matchup. We'll stream it tomorrow. I'll probably be on it, so that'll be fun. Yeah, I think that is about it. Kevo, any last minute comments?
Yeah, very interesting week of football. I think we've established. I think that the winner today, if I was to say that the big winner today was the Bears, I think because they've established themselves as someone that we need to take seriously. And I think the big loser today, I think, is the Atlanta Falcons. I know that the stats are wonderful. I know that it was a game that they were not expected to win, but the season, it's unfortunate because a lot of people had high expectations of this team, and I think they're probably one of the top 5 disappointments this year, I think.
Yep. Yeah, I totally agree on both of those. I'll give 2 different winners and losers since you got that. But I do agree the Bears and the Bears did very well in helping themselves out as a contender, and the Falcons, 4-7. What can you say, Kev? What can you say? I'm gonna go with the Cowboys as a winner. They helped themselves as the division leader and strengthen up their team with 5 games to go. And I'll say the Lions, obviously, are a big contributor to the loss section today. Matthew Stafford, a lot of questions. I think there's a lot of questions rising up about what he can bring. And I did defend him a couple weeks ago, if you know that, with Mitch. I defended him more. I was on his side more than I was on Kevil's side of that argument. But seeing this game today, it just kind of opens up the door. It kind of opens up that thing of what's going on, This guy's been the leader for 9 years, and we haven't won a playoff game. He's still a very good quarterback that can put up the stats, but can he lead the clutch situations, in this season in particular and going forward with Matt Patricia? A lot of questions there. The skepticism for both the Falcons and the Lions, I think is quite a bit right now. Yeah. A lot of questions.
And you really look at how Drew Brees has adapted his game over the years, especially the last couple of years, has adapted and sacrificed. And Sean Payton and Drew Brees sacrificing throwing that football around the field to run the ball a little bit more, be a bit more defensive. And you don't see that same adaptation from a Stafford.
Yeah.
And that's, it's, not I forget Matthew Stafford's been in this league for 9 years.
It's crazy, right?
It's crazy. Wow. But yeah, that's it. Yeah, some interesting questions in Detroit. If I was a Lions fan, I'd be scratching my head again.
Yeah, and I agree with that statement as well. Just the fact that he's kind of had that mentality, that same mentality of the gunslinger thing. And I know he did lose a threat in Golden Tate, but it just seems like he's in that same state of quarterback, and he has not wanted to change that. And like you said, Drew Brees, a quarterback that's been in this league a little bit longer, has been able to do so. So
yeah.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for us on this Thanksgiving Day recap. If you guys enjoyed, smash the like button. Comment below what you think about these games. Who were the big winners and losers, and what were your teams? If you had any teams in this game or in this Thanksgiving Day, how did they do? Comment that below. Subscribe to the Bottom Line View for more content. I believe Mitch will have his fantasy start and sit him sometime in the next day or so. We'll be back here on Sunday, probably recapping the Vikings and Packers games. You don't want to miss that on Sunday night. So for Kevo, it's Dilly of the Bottom Line View. Peace out, guys.
Peace.